Welcome back, guys, to the Soul Ecosystem podcast, where we discuss everything soul contracts, past lives, reincarnation, and all the spiritual girly stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a special guest today. I have a very special episode planned for you that I haven't done before. I'm going to be doing a live reading of Kelly's soul contract. We are so excited about this because I love Kelly's soul contract. It has very, very abundant energy, and I can't wait to go through it all and kind of give you guys a glimpse into how the intuitive reading part of soul contracts works, especially when you are booking the soul contract and the call, the soul package with me. I can't wait to show it to you. And Kelly, thank you so much for volunteering to do this. This is going to be so great. And thank you for opening your energy and being really vulnerable with this, because I know that, I mean, I might be projecting. For me, personally, it was really intense to look at my soul contract. So you're kind of like sharing it with the world. Am I scaring you?
No, not at all. I'm just like, let's get it all out there. Let's do this. I'm very excited for it. I reference my soul contract quite often, actually, because I've had it for a little over a year now from
Yes,
you.
you've booked it with me. Like when this just like got going, like around the time that it was peaking. So yeah, I remembered I saw your name. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I did a soul contract for you, and I was really excited to kind of revisit this a year later. I'm sure I'm going to have more additional like intuitive things to relay to you about your soul contract. And there was stuff that I was picking up in the Akashic Records when I accessed your energy right before this call that I can't wait to talk about with you. But first, oh, hitting my microphone. First, we're going to kind of do a rundown of your soul contract and let people know what's in there so that they have a sense of what the soul contract can talk to, and what to expect when they have these kind of numbers in their soul contract. So, right off the bat, I want to say that in your soul contract, there was talents that repeated, I think, not from your maternal or paternal lineage, but just for you. So your gifts or your talents are kind of like spiritual one-ups that you have. Like they're kind of like spiritual blessings and things that you are automatically better at. And the stuff that you inherit from your maternal side and your paternal side, it's kind of more subconscious. Those gifts are operating more from the subconscious than from the conscious, but yours right off the bat are operating consciously, the ones that are directly inherited, like not inherited, the ones that directly apply to you. And those were very interesting because as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, this gives me a really good sense of your energy. It's so abundant, first of all. It's so abundant. And I first tuned into your Akashic Records, and then I looked at your soul contract again, and it kind of reconfirmed that, because when I went into the Akashic Records with you, the keeper of the records gave me a key that I haven't seen before, but that's obvious because every key is different. But it looked like it was almost like a hotel key card, and it had like gold tassels on it. And I was like, what is the meaning of this? I was trying to make sense of this, and all I heard back is that you were destined for great wealth. You were incarnated in this incarnation, you were meant to have great wealth. And when I opened up your soul contract, that confirmed it, because you have the fortune talent gift and you have fertility, which is like, fertility is like the queen of, not pentacles, queen of pentacles energy. I was blanking for a second. It's a very like earthy Taurus, very divine feminine energy. And this is a person that knows how to magnetize, knows how to use their natural like magnetic energy to attract what it is that they want out of the world. So that is stemming from the number three. The number three means fertility, abundance, earthiness, kind of really lavishing in home life. You might be a little bit of an introvert and you might really like to stay at home and be very, very comfortable with your surroundings.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. I feel like also that really came out in me during COVID. I used to be very extroverted, very much like going out with all my friends all the time. And then COVID hit and we had to stay home. And I was like, this is great.
You're
Why
like,
have I
why
not
did I
been
go
doing
outside
this?
ever?
Yeah, why did I not do this my whole life? Why did I not just nest forever? So definitely that has become such a part of me.
That's so interesting because as soon as I said that, I'm like, I'll touch on your room later, but it seemed like a contradiction. So I'll touch on it later. Sorry. But yeah, so you have that energy around you that's really like you benefit, you thrive off of having very comfortable, homely kind of feel around you.
Absolutely.
So you may have like during COVID, you may have like kind of went crazy and like, I need to make this more comfortable. I need to like get new rugs or get new like wall decorations. You want to try and make yourself as comfortable as possible because you thrive on that the energy of your home. It's very important to you, much more so than regular. I mean, I feel like everybody's like home life, like energy needs to be um clean and open and like decorated a certain way in order to kind of make them feel good, but like you especially thrive on that feeling of being comfortable and not like cluttered, not, very
Oh,
neat.
yes. Very, very much so. That's like the core of my almost my whole being, especially at this point in my life where it's just like I'm kind of focusing in on me more. That home has become such a focal point.
So it's like more like have you done like a decluttering thing where you're like, okay, I
Yes.
just have to have only the necessities and nothing
Yes.
else?
Like every 6 months.
You're really on
And then
top
I'll
of that.
change stuff around. I'll
Every
get
6 months.
different like furniture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the fertility energy, and I love it so much. I love when I see it because it gives like queen vibes. It gives like royalty vibes, which will tie into your past life because that was very interesting. You have a past life that shows up in people that are very well off or very successful. It shows up in their contracts all the time, and I will touch on that. But before I do, you also have the fortune talent. That is the number 10. And whenever I see the number 10, I think of a person that always has good luck. This is the kind of person that, like, whenever you're at a vending machine or like a casino, you're the type of person to not leave there without winning something. And you might notice that manifesting in your life through different things. Like, you'll find that things that happen to your friends might turn out like badly for them, but when they happen to you, it always works out. There's like this way about you, about your energy that attracts higher potentials, and you end up like attracting good things instead of like negative scenarios.
Yeah.
um so yeah, it's very lucky energy. It's very like, you almost have this assuredness in yourself. You're like, "Oh, I don't have to kinda worry about that because things just end up working out for me anyway." And it might be like self-belief, and maybe you can speak to exactly what you think, manifests this kind of, like, "Only positive things happen for me" vibe, but it's yeah, it's just like this luck thing where things like I'm thinking specifically about my bonus daughter. She was born May 10th, and that's where your number 10 is manifesting from. It's manifesting from you being born in October. So people that were born in October, and I actually have a best friend that's also born in October that has this kind of vibe where things just are a little bit easier for her. The path is a little bit easier for her to navigate, and she kind of like, you'll be the first teenager with the car, you know, you'll be the first teenager with the job, or the good job out of high school, or the good job out of college. And it's just like lucky happenstances.
Yeah, that happens to me actually a lot. Like in 2020, I bought my first house. And now it's like that was I bought it because it was cheaper to buy a house than it was to rent. And
Hmm.
then that worked out. Um, just last year, I popped a tire on the road. That's obviously like kind of a traumatic experience because you're going 50 down a road. And then I went to the trunk and found $2,000. And I was like, this is fantastic. Like this was meant to happen. And I think I've just kind of cultivated like that so often in my life. Like from the very beginning, things that look really bad have always kind of just worked out for me. And I've cultivated that thought process that, yeah, this is bad right now. In practicality, I should be upset, but I know it's going to shift. And so I think having so many experiences, tiny, tiny little micro experiences since being very little, has just really helped foster that entire mentality of like, nothing is that bad. It's all going to work out.
I saw that mentality firsthand when we first scheduled this, and I we didn't clarify if it was like an AM or PM thing. And then you're like, "Oh, it'll work out, like divinely timed. It was meant to be that way or whatever." So, yeah, that's the energy, guys. That's the vibe that we are talking about. This like mentality that things will work out, even if they're difficult right now, even if everything looks really bad, it's going to work out. So if you want some of that energy in your life manifesting in your reality, I would definitely adopt this fortune, this 10 talent that Kelly has. And you guys can do that. You can have that shift. You can have that shift mentally, and then it will start manifesting in your reality. So
It's
it's
not
kind of
always
like you're adding
easy.
a little bonus thing into your soul contract, into
Yeah.
your experience.
And it's not always easy either. Like,
No, it's not.
there's times when something bad happens and you're like, this is it. This is the end of the world. How am I ever going to make it through?
Yeah.
And then if you can reflect back on it in a week, a month, a year, you can be like, wow, I really did make it through. And then you can come back to those experiences when something bad happens again. So it's kind of one of those just learning processes that I
Yeah.
think I've really grown to master.
I struggle with that a lot. Like, my husband is really good at kind of bringing up past experiences to me and be like, "Look, you've managed to get through this. You've managed to get through this, and you are freaking out about a very similar issue, and it's
Mhm.
going to end up okay. It's going to be okay." And I'm like, "No, it's not. Even though that turned out okay, like this and this and this." So yeah, I definitely need to center myself in that energy. That I'm sure there's a saying for this, like if everything looks like it's going wrong, like to not I'm thinking about it, but I can't like pinpoint it. I've been trying to grasp it, and it's like just out of my reach. But yeah, it's a very good mentality to have, because it does work out. Things do get better. There's oh wait, did I just find it? There's a rainbow after every storm or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so important. It's so important to have that perspective,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
and your
And to
soul
lean into
contract
it.
speaks to that.
Yeah.
And the last part of your gift, there's three gifts for you in your soul contract. The last part of your gift tells me that you are a very intuitive person by nature, very connected to the spiritual, very connected to your ancestors. In your soul contract, it says kin, it's the number 20, but this is the number of the ancestors. This means that you have ancestors on the spiritual side that are looking out for you and making sure that you have the tools necessary to go through this incarnation. So you're particularly protected, particularly in tune with the spirit world, and you probably get messages from them all the time. You might not know it's coming from them, but that's where that energy is coming.
I've been trying to tap into that a lot more, like the synchronicities. And when they happen, just being like, all right, thank you, spirit guide. Thank you, great, great, great grandmother.
Yeah, it would be beneficial for you to like learn more about your ancestors, learn more about like your origins, where you came from. I don't know if you've ever done like a 23 or a 23andMe, or like learned anything about your ancestry, but that kind of connects you to that energy and helps you start fostering a relationship with them, and so you can hear them easier. But not everybody can do that. I can't do that because I immigrated here when I was 3, so I don't have all of that ancestry to kind of find.
Yeah,
But if you're able to do that, I'd highly encourage that, because it really opens up the portal to ancestor work and speaking with them and kind of seeking guidance and having that additional support system in the background for when you're going through life.
I love that.
Um,
That's a great idea.
but yeah, so speaking of your ancestors, this is going to have me tie in the past life part of your soul contract. So for your past life, I mentioned that you have the past life of somebody that, like, of celebrities that usually are very well off. And it is the past life of coming from a very, very important, powerful family. And in that past life, you kind of cut ties or didn't follow the family business. And we're going to kind of dig into exactly what happened in that past life. But that explains why, as soon as I went into your Akashic records, when I got the key, I got the message that you were destined for great wealth. You were meant to experience wealth in this lifetime. And because of this past life, I feel like you'd never had like a need. Like you never went without, you know? You were likely born into a wealthy family again, but the family ties were cut. So there was something going on in your family. Either somebody was ostracized from your family, or there was some kind of event where you guys either stopped talking to aunts or uncles or cousins, or maybe your parents got divorced and you kind of had like this split in family dynamics. But that's like the general like reading for your past life based on your soul contract. And whenever I see that in contracts of people, they're usually manifesting in this incarnation. Sorry, losing my voice for a second. They're usually manifesting in this incarnation again in a position of power. Like they're going to have influence. If you don't already have a lot of influence, have a lot of wealth, have a lot of power, you are going to be able to access that. Like that is a potential for you. It's a potential for you to become a household name. Like it's easier for you to kind of reach that than a person with a past life of slavery, for example. Although I often see contracts of people that are very successful that had that past life where they were a slave, and they're kind of like fighting like really hard, like they're swinging through life trying to kind of clear that past life where they felt like they were less than, they felt like they were not worthy, they were treated like a second class citizen. So they end up fighting through life and achieving greatness because they were fighting so hard.
Mhm. That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
so for you, it's you already have like the energy of the 10. So you're already in fertility, and you're already like natural at attracting positive things, attracting opportunities that wouldn't present themselves normally to other people. And then to top it off, you have this past life, which essentially kind of sets you up for great success. And the whole chart is just screaming abundance. You were meant to experience that kind of wealth, that kind of blessing in this incarnation. And when I went into your Akashic Records room, like when I saw the door, and tell me if this is crazy, because I've not I've never seen anything before, but like this. But I saw your door and like it had like bricks around it, like a frame, and then it was a wooden door, but it looked really luxurious. And then I heard cowboy. And I wasn't I'm like this door doesn't look like a cowboy. It doesn't look anything like rancher lifestyle or anything. And then I opened your room and it felt like I walked into a past life. I'm like, what's going on? This is not a room. This is just like it felt like a scene from like the old west, like old western movies. It was giving rancher vibes. It was giving like I thought I walked into a past life for you. And I'm like, can we like get back to a room, please? And they're like, no, this isn't a past life. You just like open space. And I'm like, okay. So I tried to start like navigating that. I'm trying to connect to that energy. And I feel like you have had a lot of lifetimes where you kind of had this like descendant of a really like huge, I'm talking like oil rigs, I'm talking like a rancher that like just started out and then like there's generational wealth because they started out like think of when the gold rush happened. It's like your ancestors were the first people that uh got into the gold rush thing and they made like so much off of it. You've had many lifetimes with that kind of energy, with that kind of vibe, where you were kind of forced into the family business because that's all you've known. I don't know much about rancher lifestyle or cowboy lifestyle, so I'm just going to tell you what I see because I have absolutely no idea anything about it. But I see these plains with like horses, and I'm seeing cowboys, and I see this gigantic wooden house, and it's so funny because as soon as you logged on and I saw that you have like light hitting on you and it looks like the background is a kitchen, that's exactly what I saw in this house. I saw that there was like this almost triangle kind of windows and like they went down like this and you had a table. I'm trying to show it to you, but I can't. It was like this gigantic room. It felt like a kitchen and it felt like the kitchen was in the back and that there was a giant table in the middle of the room. And that's where me and you sat down. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're going to be looking into your Akashic records, into your past life at this table. That has never happened to me. I usually see a room. I usually like see scrolls and like those little stands. Oh my goodness, what do you call them? That preachers have.
Oh, like a pulpit
A
stand?
pulpit, yes. I usually
Yeah.
see pulpits and like stone walls. So this was very, very different. It's like it started off in a very open space with horses all around. So I was like, is there a connection here for you between you and horses? Like, do you love horses a lot?
I don't not love them. I have spent time in my childhood around them, but in my later years I haven't. But maybe it's a sign I need to.
There's something there for you because I felt like did you enjoy like I'm guessing you had like horseback riding lessons or something?
Yeah. Yeah, and I grew up, we had like this little mini farm. It wasn't very big. It was only 5 acres. But we had horses and goats and chickens.
Did you enjoy horseback riding as a kid? Like,
Yeah, I
is that
did.
something you were passionate
Yes.
about?
Yeah. I
Did you
had this
want to
horse.
become a oh, man, what do they call people that ride horses? Equestrians?
Oh, equestrians. No, I never took it that far. I never took it that far. It was just more for fun and just like the horses were just so great
Hmm.
and they're calming creatures, most of
If
them.
you're interested in that, I would definitely kind of poke around the idea of connecting to horses again because that felt like it was a huge connection for you.
Okay.
I
I will.
don't
That's definitely a linear thing. I mean, my grandpa was really, really into horses. He grew up in Montana. My mom was really into horses. My brother's really into horses.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah,
That makes so much
yeah,
sense why I'm seeing like this gigantic like open field with horses all around.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, so you took me into this house and there was that giant table, losing my voice again. And yeah, I'm like, okay, I guess we look into your Akashic records from here. Wasn't used to that, but I guess they felt the need to kind of highlight this connection that you have to cowboy life, to rancher life. Again, I have no idea anything about cowboy or rancher life, but I guess it's an ancestral thing for you from the sounds of it. If your dad, your mom, your brother are also interconnected with horses, maybe there's a reason that that's like very in your energy.
Yeah, I would imagine so with my grandpa, just being very much a cowboy himself.
That is so crazy. I thought I
Yeah.
was absolutely losing my mind. I'm like, I'm picking up on somebody else's energy. Like, I have never seen this before. Why am I like in the middle of an open field with cowboys and ranchers all around?
I love
Um,
to how I'm like, "Come here, Anna. Sit down. Let me show you my records. Welcome to my house."
yeah, you took me into the house. I'm like, this is different. I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna see what happens. But yeah, I feel like that's very important for you to know because that keeps coming up. It keeps coming up that you have come from lineages that were very, very successful. And you're meant to experience that again. First of all, that's very blessed. First of all, that's a huge blessing. And that's a huge indication of the kind of karma that you have accrued, that your family has accrued. Your family, your lineage is very likely not full of trauma and drama and violence like usually most contracts are because great power and wealth is distributed to people that can handle it. They either can handle it or they can handle it responsibly, because they're meant to be in those positions of power to have some kind of influence on people, to influence timelines, to influence directions of people's lives, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge blessing. And
Yeah.
this contract feels very, like I said, abundant and light because of that, because it doesn't feel like you are. I guess I'm used to seeing a lot of trauma, a lot of paternal and maternal stuff that is coming from lineages and ancestors that is actively playing out in people's energy. But I just remembered, you also don't have sorry, a lot of subconscious programs. And the programs you do have, again, they don't have any like red flags, like no immediate red flags. There isn't anything that feels malicious or heinous. So I guess that's my way of saying that this is a very light soul contract. And you have to credit yourself in past lives for doing this because you have done the work. You have done the work in a different incarnation. You must have gone through something to kind of come out of this without having much karma to clear. There is karma for you to clear, but not. Sorry, I'm shaking my laptop because I'm listening through it. Not as much as usual. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does, and I completely feel that. And anything that I feel like, we're so privy to generational karma these or generational trauma these days and how it plays out karmically. And I think watching like my family kind of pass down this trauma and being very aware of it, it makes it so much easier to like cut those ties. But why I'm
Mm.
like that, like I don't know.
You mean
Why
your
would
family's aware, or you're
like
aware of the
me
trauma?
personally, like I can
Mm.
see like, okay, my grandma acted this way, so my mom's acting this way, so that shaped me. Here it's like, well, why am I consciously aware of that versus being subconscious and then just playing out the roles
The
again and
role,
again?
and repeating the cycle.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel like that's something I've always just been like very observant about. So
That
hopefully,
speaks to oh my goodness, I think it was in your past life that because you had this past life where you kind of broke ties with your family in a past life because you either didn't want to continue the family business, you wanted to go on your own path, or it's likely that you had a love interest that your parents didn't approve of and you kind of had to cut ties in order to be with the person.
That's probably it. I
I
love
was
that.
thinking the same thing. I'm like that feels a little more aligned. Um but yeah, so you cut ties and in this lifetime there's that split in your family that happens and you are often the black sheep. And for black sheeps, they're often the cycle breakers, the generational curse breakers. They're the ones that are able to see this from a different perspective. And that ties into what you just said, like you see things from a different perspective. This also explains the talent you have with your connection to your ancestors, because I think you were placed here specifically with like kind of your third eye blaring open, because I mean that's what it takes to recognize the patterns, to recognize the cycles, and instead of being like, oh, this is how my mom raised me, I turned out fine, I'm going to do the same thing to my kids. Instead of doing that, like you're doing the inner work and being like, you know what, this sucked, I'm not going to put that trauma onto my generation and like keep it going. it
Yes.
takes it takes so much, so much work. And that in and of itself is so rare. Like I know for myself, speaking from experience, like I don't understand the disconnect between me and my mom and how she was raised and the things that I'm seeing and how I was raised. She sees as totally fine. Like she knows that there were some things that were kind of messed up, but like she's like, "Oh, I turned out okay because my parents did this and this and this." And she doesn't see how like the connection between what her parents did to how she turned out to what she did to me.
Absolutely. It's crazy to me that people don't get it. I'm like, how, what? How do you not see this? But it's easy to be blinded to it, especially if you don't want to see it.
Yes.
Yes.
And for you, for me, we see it because we were meant to do something about it. We were meant to be the part of the story that's like, this stops here, this ends here.
Hmm.
So
I love
that's
that.
that's very interesting. So yeah, so like a black sheep energy, you you might think differently than many people in your family. Like you might have a different mentality altogether or a different belief system altogether because you're kind of like shying away from the things that they believe, the things that they do. Okay. All right, so I just realized that's why they showed me the horses. That's why they showed me the ranch and stuff. Because if your whole family is so like enamored by it, so um obsessed with that kind of lifestyle, and you're taking me into the house, it's replaying again. That past life karma is replaying again, where you are kind of stepping away from the family. And it's not that that's necessarily karmically bad to not follow in your family's footsteps, following your parents' footsteps. It's how we go about doing it. The part that when I first started looking at soul contracts, the part that um kind of shocked me is that they were like so set and like, no, you can't like cut off your family, you can't do this and this and this. I don't agree with that. I think that you should be able to cut off toxic people, like especially if they're family. Like that's a kind of given, but it's important how you go about doing it. It's important that there's a lot of grace surrounding that issue, because like you have to leave room for other people to evolve too. Just because you've kind of evolved in a different way, you've kind of like made your own trajectory and went off onto a different path, doesn't mean that that path can't intertwine anymore with your loved ones or with your parents. Now I'm kind of going into preachy mode, but I just thought that that was one of the things that was most interesting to me going into soul contracts, the importance of when you can still maintaining a semblance of relationships with your family and not just being like, okay, like you're dead to me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that with anybody, right? Because you never know what's going to happen.
You
Never
never
know.
know. Like you people have choices. People have the freedom to choose to become other people, like to be different, to act different. And sometimes it takes a very like life-changing event for that to happen, like rock bottom. But like you can't just like shut it off and like be like, okay, we're I'm no longer speaking to you. I'm no longer so yeah, a lot of grace because I'm sure everyone would want that as well if we had a life-changing moment and we were kind of like, okay, I need to be different. I need to handle things differently because this hasn't worked for me anymore.
Mhm. No, I
But
agree.
yeah, that's oh my gosh, I've been talking for so long. um I want to briefly look into your subconscious programs because the ones that you do have are also blessings. So I feel like this whole entire soul contract, I'm like, you have blessings on blessings on blessings on
Yeah.
blessings.
I
Um
love that. That's how I feel like my life has been, like,
I
you
mean,
know?
and I think that's why. I think that's why you were given so much in this incarnation. I think that's why you're able to like attract things to you because you've likely done the inner work in a past lifetime and realized that oh things end up working out for me. Things are always going to be okay even if it looks dark now. It's going to work out in the end. I feel like that's why you have the kind of contract you have. But one of the subconscious programs that you have is academic knowledge. And that essentially just means you're a very cerebral person. This also might tie into why you're able to recognize patterns in your relationships, in your family life, easier than other people because you are naturally intelligent, naturally adept at finding patterns where other people can't. Like you're very good at detail oriented stuff and noticing things that other people can't. So, like, if I don't know if you've ever wanted to be somebody that, like, let's say a detective or somebody that needs to study a scene to find all of the details. Like, you'd be really, really good at that.
I would love to do that. I feel like it's not really my calling in life right now, but I mean, my
You'd be really good
fantasies,
at it
that
though.
sounds
You'd be
very
really good
fun.
at it though. But yeah, I would not be able to do something so heavy. I feel like that is so heavy, and people that
Yeah.
do that kind of work, like criminal justice work, eh,
Yeah.
they are angels on earth because I could never.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's hard.
So, one thing I've noticed with people that have the Black Sheep program, they usually have the public disgrace program, and essentially it's like the shame program. Essentially, um, something happens where your life plays out in a way where you're ashamed of something or you're being shamed for something you did. This kind of gives me the vibes of I don't know why this book is popping in my head. The Scarlet Letter, where she was Hester was shamed for getting pregnant out of wedlock or whatever, and the baby daddy is the pastor or something. Am I spoiling it for people? Um,
I've
but
never read it. Maybe I'll have to read it.
But yeah, so like his contribution to this situation is like, oh, nobody's blaming him. Everybody's shaming her. Like they don't understand. I mean, they didn't, it's not that they don't understand in that time. It was all the woman's fault, her responsibility, blah, blah, blah. He had kind of no play in it, but they shamed her for it. They shamed her for getting pregnant. I think she was already married and her husband was away. So they knew that she was cheating on him. But it doesn't always come out that extreme, this program, but I feel like this may be a family dynamics kind of thing for you, where if, let's say, you have a family of doctors and you choose to not be a doctor, then they make you feel less than, less intelligent, like more free, like free child, wild child, or whatever. Like you're the rebel that has to go off and do her own thing, kind of vibes.
Yeah, no, definitely that was me growing up, and I loved it.
You're like, I don't regret a thing.
I do not regret it at all. There were maybe some embarrassing moments and things I wish I could take back that potentially shamed the family, but and ultimately I would still not change a thing.
I love that you didn't internalize that shame. It sounds like you didn't internalize it. You're like, "That's on you. That's, like, your own stories that you hold. Like, that's not gonna be my story. That's not gonna be
Yeah.
my
I've worked
identity."
through it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Look at that. Like, I don't know if you understand how, like, mature that is on a soul level. Like, again, that just makes sense why your soul contract is the way that it is.
Yeah. That's great. I love this. I mean, it really speaks to me because I just, life is not that serious and you just gotta keep going. That's my
Yeah.
thought process. I know some people would highly disagree with that.
It's good because maybe somebody needs to hear this and kind of adopt that thought process in order to do the smooth sailing that is showing up for you in your life. It might not always feel smooth sailing, but like the mentality that you have about it is manifesting smoother and like calmer waters for you throughout life instead of like kind of the roller coaster that people go through that life often throws at us. Like it's so healthy. But
Yeah.
you know that. You're you, like you're in your brain. Um but yes, I wanted to take this part of the intuitive reading to kind of go into the past life that was shown because it feels very, very like it's literally like popping out of the pages for me because like as we go into your room, I see that scene instead of seeing like a room like usual. So it feels like there's something very important there for you. While I'm kind of tuning into that. Oh, okay. I just remembered that I also took a look at your life path, your highest potential, your life path, and then your default path. And I was looking at where you were at, and it was showing me that your trajectory, like there was a dotted line towards going to your highest path. And it said that in order to get to it, I saw you giving somebody some papers, like submitting paperwork. I couldn't grasp like if it's like a resignation letter or if it's like a portfolio that you're giving to somebody, but it didn't feel like one paper. It felt like a lot of papers. And I also remember just now that in in the conclusion part of your soul contract, I said something about you writing a book. Is there any tie there for you eventually writing a book or having a desire to write a book?
Um, not yeah, I've always wanted to write books, but nothing's manifested out of that. I've never had the confidence to be able to be like, let me sit down and write a book.
Was
Um,
it was it were you thinking like nonfiction books, like storytelling books? Um
everything. And I feel like I've done so much soul work that I do have a lot of knowledge that I would be able to really disseminate that and bring it publicly out in a pretty like digestible way. Because some of this stuff gets really deep and it's really hard to like even wrap your brain around.
I feel like I need to like stress to you that your soul contract is designed for that. Like your soul contract is specifically set up the way that it is because you have, like I said, done the inner work. Like there's a lot more knowledge available to you. And this is something that I see pop up very often. Soul contracts often speak to not sharing your knowledge with others. So if there's even a semblance of a desire to share your knowledge with others, especially with somebody that has your soul contract, it's very important to do that. There's a lot of past lives I see of karma that goes uncleared because somebody didn't choose to share their gift. They didn't choose to share their knowledge, and they kind of kept it to themselves because they didn't want to attract any attention, or they didn't want to kind of step out into the open. I'm seeing like it's like kind of exposing yourself to the world. So I would really sink in to that feeling that you have where you may feel like you aren't knowledgeable enough, or like you aren't there yet
Mhm.
to share that, because based on your soul contract, you were there a very long time ago, and it's important for you to share what you have on your heart. So if there's that desire there, I would really sit with it and see if it brings you joy, see if it kind of makes you excited, makes you feel like giddy inside, like falling in love. But yeah, I don't know why, but I saw you submitting some kind of paperwork to someone.
That's interesting you say that because I've been thinking a lot about like, okay, what's my 5 year, 10-year plan? And I haven't told anybody except now you and everybody listening that I was pondering going back to get my doctorate. And so that would potentially include like a massive
A
thesis.
thesis.
Yes.
Oh
Which,
my
I
god.
mean, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But when you say papers, lots of them, submitting them to somebody, I'm like, well, that has been on my mind.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because it feels like doing that, like when I was looking at it on your soul path, it feels like that moment aligns you to the highest potential.
Mhm.
So is there a reason that you like were looking to get your doctorate? Like is there something that you're seeking in order to, like, you need to get your doctorate and then you can go be this?
That's exactly right. Yeah. If I were to get my doctorate, then it would just put me in a different position than where I'm at now.
Do you feel like then you would feel confident enough to write books about what it is that you know, what it is that you have to share with the world?
That's a good question. I don't know that that's quite
I think it
aligned.
is.
Like those aren't necessarily on the same path because it would be in nursing.
Mhm.
And it would be more of like an anesthesia type nursing route for my
Mhm.
doctorate. But there is, in my experience, so much spirituality and spirit that is involved in our health that we do not pay attention to. And I see it almost every single day. And I'm like, I don't know exactly how to even express it
I
correctly.
I am sensing that there is a way there for you to combine your experience in the scientific realm, in the scientific world, in the very 3D world, and combine it with a spiritual world. And this particularly reminds me of this one book that I read. Don't remember what it's called, don't remember the author, but it was this person that was kind of like a death doula.
Mm.
He professionally spent so much time with people that were dying, and then he kind of like listed all of the experiences that he's had with them, and he explained it in such a way like that made it feel like both spiritual and physical, like combined the process into this yin and yang that made it feel whole, like joined two worlds together, like that I haven't seen before. But this is what that reminds me of. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future you found a way to mold that into a book. But the desire that you have there to write was put there for a reason. The fact that you have that desire, really keep that in the back of your mind, and just like kind of let it formulate. If you're not there, not formulate, kind of let it marinate if you're not at the place to write it yet, share it yet, because I feel like in the future you are going to have that moment where you're like, okay, I've noticed this and this happening throughout my career or throughout my lifetime. And I feel like people need to know those patterns because
Yeah.
again, you are somebody that can see patterns. You are somebody that can is able to understand complex ideas and put it into a way that's digestible.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That definitely makes sense. I
And
just
I
feel
think
like in the spiritual realm, like it's so vast that I'm still working on my words of explaining it. Internally, I totally get it. I see it all the time. I understand. But then when you try to connect your brain with your words, there's like, okay, I'm like still working to just sort that knot out because it's very hard.
it's very difficult because you're kind of bridging two different worlds
Mhm.
that don't necessarily jive well together. And that's what I see you trying to do. You're trying to become that bridge right now. You're somebody that's going to be able to make sense of things for people that are very logically minded, that are very scientifically minded, and that almost have this, not paranoia, but like almost have this phobia of exploring anything spiritual because they like structure. They like to be able to sense things and believe in what they can see, what they can touch, what they can feel. You are going to be bridging that divide for people that are scientifically minded and kind of opening them up to the spiritual realm as well. And this reminds me of a story that I heard of somebody that had a near death experience and like their soul started rising above their body, and they heard everything that the doctor was saying to the nurses. They heard everything that was going on in the room. And when he came back to, he started telling the nurses, he's like, I just died. And they're like, well, your heart stopped beating for a second. He's like, no, I just died. And like, I saw you guys. I saw all of you. I saw what you were doing. I saw what you guys were talking about. And as he started talking about it, the doctor started freaking out. He's like, I'm not going to listen to this. Because at first he was skeptical. He was like, that didn't happen. Like, you were fine. We got you back. You weren't even not alive for that long. Um, but he's like, no, you told that nurse, do this and this and this. And he starts recollecting what actually happened. And the doctor just totally shuts down. And he's like, no, I'm not going to listen to this. And he walks out the door. So maybe there's a calling there for you to kind of melt those two various worlds, very different worlds together. I don't know how you're going to do that. I do feel eventually it's going to come in the form of the book, but maybe the work there necessarily isn't where the book starts. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
maybe it doesn't
absolutely.
start from the book, but like you kind of write a book based on your experiences with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's green flags for the doctorate because it feels like it's aligned with what you're trying to do, aligned with your soul path, 100%.
Yeah, that's great insight because it's something that's obviously going to be very challenging and a very like a life-changing decision, and school is going to be
Yeah.
very hard. It's not something I can just jump into right away. There's more experience I have to get as a nurse first before I can even really go down that path. So it's a long road, but it's good to have that reassurance.
Yeah. And yeah, I feel kind of honored that I saw you kind of handing in your thesis to somebody. I saw you handing it to a woman. So once you get your doctorate, if you're ever playing this back and you listen to it, let me know if it was a woman
Yeah, I
that
will
you
for
handed
sure.
to.
Yes.
um, but yeah, that is so interesting. Is there anything in regards to your soul contract that you had questions about that you needed insight into?
Um, that's a good question. Yeah, actually, like, is there anything that I needed? You kind of said no, but what was? the one thing that stood out to you the most in the past life that maybe I did really kind of need to either work on, clear, or understand better in this life?
All right, let me try to tune into that for you. I am seeing that you're very used to doing things on your own. You're not somebody that asks for help. And this explains why you haven't really tuned into your ancestral gift yet, into your connection with your ancestors, and you haven't gotten, like, you haven't felt supported by them. Like, they're right there helping you, they're right there supporting you, but you haven't really tuned into it yet. And I'm getting that it's because you don't like to be somebody that needs something. You don't like to be needy. You like to do things on your own. Are you an eldest child?
No, the youngest. There's only two of us.
You're the youngest.
Yeah.
Because I was getting like very eldest child kind of vibes where it's like I'll do everything myself because I'm used to doing it myself.
I still, I definitely have the mentality though.
There's a wound there that needs to be addressed. And I'm trying to make sense of it because it sounds like you're somebody that, like, you get support from the universe. You know that things work out, that everything's going to be taken care of, like it's divinely timed, but you're missing the physical support. And you're kind of blocking it from happening, and you need to stop blocking it. Why do you need to stop blocking it? Okay. You're going to need that support system. You're going to need to learn how to let people help you, how to let, uh, not how to delegate. So if you're somebody that, I'm not sure if you have kids. Do you have kids?
No.
If you're someone, okay, I was gonna say, like, don't be afraid to call up your mom and ask her to babysit the kids. Um, because that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. Don't be afraid on leaning on other people. Okay, all right. There's a wound there. You're afraid to depend on other people because you're afraid of being let down.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, yeah, for sure.
There's, I'm not sure why that's coming up because it doesn't feel like it's life, like path altering for you,
Mhm.
but it does feel like something that is important for you to know now. I feel like you're going to, something may come your way where you didn't expect to like go through it alone. You're going to need somebody else to help you go through it. I don't want to scare you into thinking that this is going to be something bad, but it's going to be very helpful to have that support system. And I don't feel like there's a lack of people around you. I feel like you have people around you. You have people in your corner. Just internally, you have a hard time reaching out. So it's not that there's a lack of people that are willing and ready to help you, that love you enough to kind of put what they have on the side for a second and show up for you. It's that you don't know when to ask for help. And it's usually when you get to a point where, like, I don't want to say too far gone, but it's like, okay, like, you've gotten to a point where you really, really need help. And at that point, now you realize it. You realize that you need that support. But then it's like, again, there's like a block. You're like, okay, but now I'm a mess. I don't want people to see me crying. I don't want people to like witness me being like this. So you have this like very protective outer shell. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I do not like being vulnerable at all. I am working on it. Yeah.
I'm getting like I'm not being shown why it's important for you to clear that. And I think that's a blessing in disguise. But but yeah, this protective shell is very important for you to kind of shed and allow yourself to be vulnerable, allow yourself be to not be afraid to show your feelings, to not be afraid to get angry, to not be excuse me, to not be afraid to cry. And I feel like that, oh my, okay, I feel like that ties into your purpose. I don't know how, but I'm getting that it's going to bring about an opportunity. Oh, wow. Okay. So now this feels like you're going to be vulnerable about something. Do you know like how people often go viral when they share like, oh, like my divorce like did this and this and this to me, it changed my life, or like I had some kind of experience, and they go viral for being vulnerable and sharing something very deep and oh, hello. We got a little kitty
Yeah,
on camera.
I know. Yes, no, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
That's the vibe that I'm getting. And I'm
Okay.
not saying that like you have to now like go on social media and like start being like too much information, sharing all your personal stuff. But yeah, it's time to start shedding the protective layers that you have around yourself in order to open yourself up to more possibilities.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's like very sound advice for everybody,
Yeah.
and me especially.
Yeah. Because we get those protective shells, we get those protective layers because we're like, we're comfortable. We're comfortable being here inside ourselves. Like, we don't want to trust the world. We know that we can depend on ourselves. We're going to take care of it. We don't have to risk getting hurt.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
yeah, I don't know I don't know if that feels very profound to you, but it will have a significant trajectory shift
Yeah.
for you in your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I think once you're able to be vulnerable with people, the right person hears something that you might need, and then they have what you need. And then all of a sudden, this beautiful partnership blossoms, opportunities open. So it really is, I do find myself leaning very much into like, oh, the universe will always provide for me, like that type of energy, which can cause to have a hard shell and just be like, kind of glib about anything that's going on, when in reality it's like, okay, be a little more practical, understand that you do need help, there's people around you, be open to those experiences, those receiving those gifts of others,
Yes.
and then see what happens, go down
Okay.
that path.
You're intuitively picking up on my thoughts now because I was getting like Kylie Kardashian for some reason. I was getting the energy of her receiving gifts from others, of her like receiving all of this promotional content like free things, free gifts in order for her to promote it. And that's kind of the energy that wants to come in for you.
Mhm.
That's the energy that wants to come in for you, to not be afraid, to not refuse gifts, to not refuse. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll give you an example. So you started doing like tarot readings, right?
Mhm, yeah.
You're starting to do tarot readings on your story, and you're amazing at it, by the way.
Thank you.
You're so gifted. I think I submitted something to you. I think it was like an emoji thing. I don't know, but I opted in for one of these free readings, and you were so spot on. You were so spot on, and you were picking up on things that, again, you couldn't have possibly known, but it was like amazing. And I offered you a donation, like I offered to Venmo you for it, for your services, and you refused it.
Yeah, I did.
So there's like this vibe where like I'm gonna send it to you anyway now because now you have to accept it. Um, but there's this vibe where like, um, you're like, I don't need it. Like maybe like it should go to a different person. No, like if it's coming to you, don't refuse it. You take it. It's coming to you. You take it. Like let it come. Like really seep into that divine feminine attraction energy. It's not because like you need it. Let other people spoil you. Let other people take care of you, and let the universe offer you these gifts in this way. Let the universe start bringing things to you. That's why it's important. That's why it's important for you to start shedding those shells and start like being like, yes, why not me? Why shouldn't I be offered brand deals? Why shouldn't I be like sent things for free in exchange for like this and this and this? So yeah, it feels like you're in this like, oh, like it's okay, like I don't need it, but it's about accepting the gifts of the universe. If does that make sense? I feel
Yeah,
like
no,
now I'm rambling.
no, it totally makes sense. I feel like too, we miss out so much on receiving a bunch of gifts because we just don't know even how to receive. But once you start receiving, it's like it's just going to be an influx. And that is something that I'm working on because it's the societal thing of like never ask for too much. Like you don't live beyond your means. And it's like I'm not necessarily
Be
living beyond my
polite, don't be
means.
rude, like
Yeah.
oh like yeah, it's this like meekness or like this humility kind of thing.
Right.
Um
Exactly.
that I don't know where it stems from, but it feels like a limiting belief.
Mhm.
I've grown up with it. Like I've definitely witnessed a lot of it from my mom and my grandma on my maternal side. That's really interesting. I think this is a feminine wound. I think this is a feminine thing that we are taught to like oh it's okay not me like give it to somebody else or do it for somebody else. I don't think men do that. I don't think men refuse things.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. They don't.
So yeah, it's very interesting. I think honoring that part of yourself where it's like I'm comfortable accepting things. I'm comfortable being blessed with things just because I exist, just because of my energy, just because I'm me.
Mhm.
And I'm speaking to myself about this too. Like I'm like, okay, this is a good download for myself. But it feels like somebody, not just us, has to hear it as well. So yeah, that is going to bring things in for you.
Yeah,
I
okay.
feel like that's going to be a huge shift for you.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, accept blessings from the universe, start opening yourself up and not being overly protective of yourself and your energy.
Mhm.
Because once you start shedding that, that's when you are going to see that fortune energy coming into play for you in a major way, and the fertility energy.
Yeah, I love that.
So, okay. Um, is there any last minute kind of questions or anything you wanted me to look into before?
No, I feel like we totally wrapped that up, like packaged it with a little bow, and
Oh,
now I know what I need to go do. I know why.
let me know if you start noticing anything shifting for you once you do that
Okay.
because I'm going to be tuning into this too, like this energy shift that like I feel like whenever I work with people, I'm going to say this really briefly. I feel like whenever I work with people, the wounds that come up are also the wounds that I need to heal.
Yeah.
So it's like whenever, and I hear this all the time. I think I just heard this on Gabby and Nicole's The Spiritual Sister
Yep.
podcast episode,
Okay.
um, about like how, as the healer, when you are going out and trying to heal others, you're also getting kind of that mirrored back to you, the healing part of you that needs to be healed, mirrored back to you. So I'm going to be reflecting on how I need to do that for myself, how I need to open up myself instead of kind of making yourself smaller and making yourself feel like, oh, like somebody else needs it more. Like, no, like there's plenty. Oh, okay, here we go. Lack mentality. There's plenty to go around. There's plenty blessings to go around. There's plenty money to go around. And you shouldn't refuse it because you aren't in like dire need of it. That's not what it's for. It's there to bless you, it's there to upgrade you.
Yeah, I love that too because it's like you don't need to go into scarcity then to like grind for the money. Like it doesn't need to be this massive pendulum swing. Like let it just be a
Mm,
constant influx.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do because I do feel like you're going to be bridging that spiritual and scientific mindset together in some way and kind of combining it. I'm seeing like this marble with two different colors and it's kind of blending together. It's really, really beautiful. So I'm excited to see where you go with this.
Me too.
Thank you so much for doing this. That was incredibly this is already a step into you being more vulnerable because you're kind of like sharing your soul contract with others. So that's already in and of itself work.
Yeah.
And I just want to say your soul contract is so beautiful and you are such an angel of a human being. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing this. I really hope that it brought you some insight into you on a soul level and what wants to come from you in the next coming years.
Yeah, definitely. I loved that, like, it just reassured kind of how I'm already vibrationally feeling, but then it also, like, you and I just kind of vibed and we opened up new portals for things that I also need to work on because it's a constant. I mean, it's just every
Yeah, the
day.
work doesn't stop. You don't get
Right.
like so evolved that you don't that's it, you don't need to do any more work. Even though you're pretty close. You were pretty close there. I know there we talked a little bit about like paternal and maternal lineage stuff. I know there's some stuff there, but karmically speaking, it feels very worked through. It feels like somebody had like taken a sifter and really sifted out all of the huge chunks of karma. And I think that somebody was you because you're doing it again in this lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's constant work, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys want to get your own soul contract, feel free to visit my Etsy shop, The Soul Ecosystem, or thesoulecosystem.com to get one for yourself. Thank you so much. Have a lovely Friday and a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.